Heineken Lokpobiri, Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, has praised WalterSmith Modular Refinery for meeting energy needs in the country. The refinery, located at Ibigwe in Ohaji Egbema local government area of Imo State, produces 600 million litres of different types of products. Lokpobiri, after taking a tour of the facility with Simbi Wabote, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, expressed delight with WalterSmith. The minister also noted that modular refineries are the shortest way to address Nigeria's energy problems. To talk about this, we're joined by an energy expert, Chukwuemeka Osuji. Thank you very much for giving us your time. It's been a minute we talked about modular refineries in Nigeria. How has the perception evolved from being deemed illegal and harmful by previous administrations?
Thank you very much. Good evening, all. I think we have made some progress, and one of those who I'm particularly happy at the progress we've made, and that's been with the support of the government, as well as relevant agencies like the NCDMB. And thankfully, at the moment, we have, I think, 5 functional refineries with about a combined capacity of about 35,000 barrels per day, which is not so bad. Of course, that's the nameplate capacity, but some are, are producing slightly less than that volume. But it's still a good thing, having 5 modular refineries in the country, and a couple of others are in various stages of construction. So I think it's a significant step in the right direction for the refinery sector in Nigeria.
Do you believe that adopting modular refineries is the most expedient solution to tackle Nigeria's energy challenges? The minister thinks so.
Absolutely. I agree, absolutely. One of the things you would, of course, have noted is that we have infrastructural challenges in the oil and gas sector, and particularly as it relates to crude oil infrastructure. Unlike gas, crude oil facilities are subject to vandalism. So that means if you want to site a refinery, say in Warri, and you don't want that refinery to access crude or to even send refined products all the way to Kaduna, then you face the risk that there might be vandalism of the pipelines. But if you have modular refineries, centered around various key areas where there are upstream assets, then it makes it easier for you to then have modular refineries proximate to where the upstream assets are. So dedicated modular refineries can then service the industrial clusters around that area. So I think it's absolutely a fantastic idea. And of course, modular refineries are easier to get to completion compared to bigger refineries. So from in terms of being able to bridge the gap for us to achieve sustainability in terms of the downstream market, refined products, modular refineries is a very fantastic option to enable us to bridge that gap. So it's a brilliant idea. I absolutely agree with it.
Let's look at another part of this conversation. We know at the moment that a daily loss of 400,000 barrels of crude oil is negatively impacting the economy. Can the formalization of modular refineries effectively address this issue?
Absolutely. In addition to helping to, as you mentioned, curb the losses and the bleeding in the upstream sector in terms of oil production, modular refineries provide a viable alternative for evacuating crude. So what happens is if an upstream producer has only one option to evacuate its crude, which is through the pipelines and terminals, then to the export terminals. If anything happens to those facilities, then that means he has to stop producing. But if you have modular refineries sited proximately to the upstream facilities, if you cannot then export, you can then channel a portion, at least, even if not all, a portion of your production to the modular refineries, which of course will go to the domestic market. So it's a fantastic plan. And I recall even at the time when WalterSmith Refinery was set up, that was part of their business objectives. And it was something that was fantastic at the time. Because I worked on that project about 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm one of the people that's actually very elated when the project was started, completed, and now they are producing. So it's a very fantastic option.
From your experience, what policy initiatives do you think would be necessary to seamlessly integrate these refineries into mainstream oil and gas industry?
Maybe going slightly beyond policy initiatives. The first question to ask is, I think about 40 licenses were issued to operators, hoping that we'll be able to get more modular refineries into the plane. Fortunately, we've seen only 5 in operation at the moment. So what has happened? And I think it's really about attracting those investments in the modular refinery space. Now, refineries are pure midstream facilities. And one of the key challenges that project proponents face in attracting investments to midstream facilities like refineries is if you do not have access to upstream, dedicated upstream supply, it's really a challenge. So, and I think the Association of Refinery Producers have also even come out to say that one of the ways to address this is to have modular refineries associated with the marginal fields. So I think the policy should really focus on looking at all the upstream assets we have at the moment, particularly the marginal fields, those that have between 5, 10, 15,000 barrel per day capacity, and then putting things in place to encourage them to have modular refineries close to the facilities. And what's the utility of this? The upstream supply, the dedicated upstream supply will guarantee supply to the refineries and will then increase or enhance bankability of these projects, because that's a key concern. Where do you get the crude from?
Okay. Chukwuemeka, thank you very much for sharing some insight on the matter.
Thank you very much. Pleasure as always.